Okay. Like I said, it's always. There we go. There we go. People are coming in. I appreciate everybody joining up. We about to get it popping. There we go. I see Mr. Moffett is watching the video. And in the event that the invite I just sent you doesn't work, sir, if you'll hit the button at the bottom, there's like a camera with a plus sign, and it should say that you can request to join. Um, and then I can acknowledge that, and then we can get it going too. But the reason why I can be patient, people, the reason why I'm very patient with this process is because I already know when you're trying to do something really cool, you run into hiccups. And yeah, I just ain't, I've just matured to the point where now it just don't bother me whenever stuff don't go right. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no need to get all upset and get into a frantic dither. Um, okay, so it said that, give me 1 second. We're going to try it again. We just running into some issues, people. This is the type of stuff that happens. Um, hey, Yvonne, how you doing? Like I said, this conversation in rhythm is going to be crazy because, Mr. Moffett, I've learned so much from him during my time at A&T. So y'all give me a second to work on this thing and 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 see what's going on, and then we're gonna make this thing happen. Let's see here. Hey, Nakia, how are you? Nikki, happy belated birthday. Let me see. Just shot him another request. And in the meantime, for those who don't know, I teach elementary school, and I absolutely love it. Um,
Okay,
there
fine.
we go.
Here we are.
There we go. How
Good
are
to
you,
see you.
sir?
I'm great. Doing
Awesome.
well. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Likewise, likewise. Ladies and gentlemen, the maestro is here,
Oh
Mr.
my God.
Mondre Moffett. Um, Once again, for those who don't know, my name is Larry Q. Drawn Jr. I'm the HNI CEO here at Larry Drawn Music. And this is the Conversation in Rhythms podcast with today's special guest, Mr. Mondre Moffett. For those who don't know, I was a student of his. I'm still a student of his. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe in that thing where, you outgrow mentorship. But I was blessed to study with him at North Carolina A&T State University here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and sit under his tutelage. And I learned so much. There's still conversations that we've had, Dr. Moffett, that I still am chewing on to this day. And the reason why I'm so excited to talk with you on camera is because it's always an edifying and illuminating experience when I talk to you. And the things that you say, I know that it will bless everybody that has the opportunity to look at this video.
Yes. How's the lighting?
The lighting, yeah, we can see you. We can
Okay,
see
all
you.
right.
Yeah, we in
Hey,
there. We winning.
all the things I've said in the past to you was all inspired by you.
Uh, uh, I did. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. I know that it was. I know that meeting you, especially at the particular phase in my personal development as a human being, and then as a musician, I know that it was divine because uh,
Mhm.
I was really looking for clarity and understanding, and on not only how to be a musician, but also at that phase. Okay, my father did a great job, getting me to college. And obviously, I still talk with my dad to this day. In fact, my pop is on. I know he told me how happy he was to know we were going to talk today.
Yeah.
And
What's up, pops?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But but what you were able to do was you were able to be like a father figure in the specific capacity of like being a musician and being an educator. And I'm telling you,
Mm.
I cannot express to you from the bottom of my heart how much your mentorship and the lessons you were given and the hangs and the correction, like how much it is benefited my life. And I was just telling the people right before you had gotten on that I'm sitting in my classroom. I never knew I'd be teaching elementary school. This is what God has me doing right now. But I love it because so much of those lessons about discipline, about focus, about seriousness, about being proud of your heritage as an African American musician. I'm blessed to be able to give that to the kids, and so uh, man, my heart is so full right now. But you got
Wow.
it, sir.
It was all about freedom with discipline. And some of the things that you would come back and say to me and tell me that I said to you,
Uh,
I'm like, I graduated that school where I've forgotten more than what a lot of folks would know. But
yes, sir. Come on, come on.
you would tell me things. I said, "Oh yeah, that's right. I did say that, didn't I?"
Uh-huh.
I remember once in rehearsal, I told you, I said, playing the drums, it takes a lot of courage,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
you threw that back at me maybe a few months later,
Wow.
it finally, registered with you. Wow, takes a lot of courage because you have to, the drum, from the drum chair, I don't care who they say the leader is, it's the
Mm.
drummer. And you have to
Mm.
lead, and it takes courage to lead.
Yes, sir.
You see, it takes courage, it takes confidence to be a leader. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to lead and make decisions and make good decisions musically
Yes, sir.
that may not be popular,
Come
you
on.
know.
Come on.
And we were engaged in some rehearsal and that came out.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really blessed time for me too because with you being there as a student, and we had it was a great moment at A&T State University,
Yes, sir.
and the jazz band, we were really on, and so some of the things that will be revealed through us through this great
Mr.
improvisational
Price, please
music
call for Alvin,
was
Mr. Price.
was revel was revelational.
Yes,
We
sir.
a lot of things were revealed, and we observed, and that's what improvisation music does.
Okay.
You be in a moment and things get revealed to you. My
Yeah.
dad said, listen, you know, maybe 99% of what you do is theory and the 1% is magic. And
Okay.
we try to capture that magic. And if we
Uh,
can do that,
yeah.
we have succeeded, you know?
Yes, sir.
And so
Yes, sir.
it would be like that in conversation. It would be like that today in conversation.
Yes, sir.
And that's why we keep chasing this thing. Because that
Mm.
1% is bigger than the 99%.
Come on.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
It all comes down to all the darkness of the world can't put out light.
Come on. Come on.
So
Go in.
yeah, that's my opening statement.
I
That's my
did.
opening. That's my theme.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
theme. So I'm still out here trying to deal with this music. I'm in a
Uh,
great place with having students like yourself and then colleagues like yourself on the bandstand with me
yes, sir.
from jump.
Yes, sir.
Um, I've taken all of that experience and brought it here to Louisville, Kentucky. And
Mm.
I'm sitting in my office
Yes, sir.
in Louisville, Kentucky right now at the great historic School for Social Justice, Simmons College of Kentucky, founded in 1879
Oh, wow.
in West Louisville, not too far from where Muhammad Ali grew up.
Okay.
And everything that Muhammad Ali represented, is housed here. It's in the
Wow.
whole anatomy of this school, and the president is so supportive. Next week, I got another approval going on for my jazz curriculum
Mm-hmm.
and finally putting that together.
Wow.
Uh, it's just really, really a great time. got, trying to build a program. I didn't want to go to U of L where they already had one established in Louisville.
Right,
I
right,
wanted to
right.
start something new.
Mm,
And it's a great challenge and sometimes very frustrating because sometimes I
yeah.
reminisce on what I had
Um,
and students like yourself and
um,
your mindset. And I get to tell them about you and some of
wow.
the others, and hope to, it's all about inspiration.
Yes, sir.
So, and
Yeah.
hope to inspire these youngsters. And if you only can have just one,
Uh-huh.
and I have one,
Well, there we go. Yeah.
and he's inspiring the others.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So it's a good time, a good place. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. I remember whenever I saw that you had made the move to Louisville. I actually saw it uh because of your YouTube page.
Oh yeah.
Your YouTube program.
Yeah.
Is it Footsteps in Black Music?
Black music footprints,
Black Music Footprints. I apologize.
and I'm in the middle
Um,
of publishing a book now on it.
wow. Well, I want to encourage everybody watching. You need to not only subscribe to the page, but you need to go back and dig on these episodes. Listen, Dr. Moffett, myself, Devin, you remember Devin
Oh
Fuller? Yeah,
yeah, oh
yeah,
yes,
yeah. Devin, Lynn Grissett, we
yeah,
uh we had a whole powwow a few weeks ago talking about the episode that you did with Branford.
yeah.
And that was an incredible conversation. Specifically, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've built a whole piece of music and a chapter in a book that I'm working on the conversation y'all had about the Pentecostal beat.
Is that something?
Yes, sir. That's
Man, that was really something. On
yeah.
the pen, at the end of the interview, I remember reflecting back and say, "Yeah, the Pentecostal beat." I said, and Bram said, "Yeah, that's what it is.
Hmm.
That's what it
Yeah.
is."
And,
And I said,
and
"He's
Cass,
right about it." Well,
yes, sir. And
I don't think he's never given an interview as revealing as the one he gave. I've never heard him say anything like that. That is a
exactly.
profound interview. You can't find that Bradford Marcellus on any other interviews.
Any, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's what me, Dev, and Lynn were talking about. We were like, this one, you can check out other interviews of Brentford on YouTube, but it was just beautiful to see the rapport that y'all have.
Yeah.
As how long have y'all been friends? Like you're very close. I mean, you're jazz
Yeah.
royalty, but you're close to the Marsalis family. How long
Over
y'all been
over
friends?
40 years.
See that
And
that that that
not just remote friends, but started hanging
yeah,
40 years ago.
yeah,
All over in LA, Oakland, at my house,
yeah.
and then the introductions through him, of course, with Ellis, who was one
Mm,
of my mentors,
wow.
because the kinship, and of course Charnette and Wendy and all. Delphio will be here in a couple of weeks to do something with me.
Word.
And so, yeah, it's close family, but Branford's like, yeah, man. I said, okay. He that whole thing about sound. I said, what
Yeah.
is important? What is in between sound and vocabulary?
Mm,
That's
mm,
he said, sound.
yeah.
He said, sound is the most important. That's the thing that moves people. He
Right.
said, you can. He was talking about a Shakespeare. If you were doing Shakespeare,
Hmm.
uh, and you're not going to fare very well doing Shakespeare, maybe in a black church, not very well. They're going to be looking at you, talking about, what what they want to hear a word from you, but it's the sound. No, the important thing is that a lot of preachers don't have much vocabulary, and with their sound, people are jumping all up, running all over the church because the sound that moves
It's the
them.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah. But
no, that's
it's a great
legit.
analogy. I may have
I agree.
misquoted it. I paraphrased it, but
Yeah.
uh, but that took me on another whole thing. Yeah, and I agree. But
Hmm.
I take it further, and I'm glad you're doing this thing. I say it's the rhythm that produces the sound.
Come on.
The
Come on.
rhythm
Like,
produces the sound, and
like how?
those are the things.
Well, no. Go ahead. I was gonna ask like so how? Yeah, like if you could just break that down because that's heavy.
Well, um, the whole life force is the rhythm. Our whole life force
Ah,
is the rhythm. You
the
know, and
heartbeat.
so
Wow.
every the heartbeat it comes from that. It is it's like the brain that tells the heart to beat kind of thing. You know, you hear a certain kind of way, um, but you know,
Hmm. I got you, Miss. Okay, Mr. Moffett. I apologize. The sound went out for a few seconds.
yeah, I got a call came in, and
Okay.
I got my phone on silence, uh, uh, and I guess it blocked us out.
Okay.
But
Well.
yeah,
well
it's the idea. You have to have an idea.
mm,
That's what you have to begin with, an idea. And so, okay, how do you develop an idea? And
hmm.
you have to do that by at least thinking rhythmically, a rhythmic thought.
Yes,
It
sir.
comes, it's born out of rhythm,
Yes, sir.
you know.
To your point about that, right? I remember I was talking, give me one second. I was talking and with a really good friend of mine, and she brought up a very valid point. She's watching. Uh, Nakia should be watching, and she said something beautiful. She said that it was important to read the definition of rhythm so that we could provide context. And I'm very curious how these definitions will strike you. I looked this up right before I got on. It says the first definition of rhythm is an ordered, recurrent alternation of strong and weak elements in the flow of sound and silence in speech.
Hmm.
That's before we even talk about music. That's just rhythm.
It has a lot of what I would say the key ingredients. The whole mention of silence, because it's rhythm in that, you
Yes.
know. And we can talk about that, but yeah, I concur with that conception of rhythm. I think that that definition would to add on to it would be uh, it's connectional. It's like there's a rhythm and rhyme, so to speak.
Okay.
It's those things, but all those things go together concurrently as one. It's one thing. As all those
Mm.
ingredients is one thing. It's not in any one individual thing. It's collective, you know, together.
Yeah,
So it's really very communal in a sense. That's what the
I
rhythm is
agree.
communal.
I
And
agree.
yeah, that's that's the whole strength of the griot. That
Okay.
you know, that's that is the story. It's
Uh-huh.
the griot passing down the rhythm
Yeah.
to us,
Yeah.
and from that rhythm we gather the story. And sometimes the story is different for you know for us in terms of. In other words, it doesn't. It's not the same story. Your story is different from mine,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
rhythm
Hmm.
is a consistent thing.
Wow. That's powerful because I've been investigating. I don't know how this dropped on me. Well, I do know. God just revealed it to me. I was listening to some Max Roach, and it just was very clear. I was like, wait a second. Max is playing clave patterns just like they play in South American rhythms, just like they play in Central American rhythms, and definitely like they play in African rhythms. And then this whole notion of the African American iteration of the clave, Like it's like God began taking me down that train of thought. Like, okay, uh, we retained that clave pattern, um, but not in the same way that our Central American and our South American counterparts have, because of the difference in slavery. The slavery system that they were under allowed them to keep the drums. So when you listen to their drums in comparison to African drums, they basically sound the same. Whereas the system of slavery we were under here in America, this Anglican thing, they took our drums away, and as a result, we had to use our ingenuity to retain those things. But then I think also through the process of us getting reconnected with the God of the Bible, the rhythms took on the current nature that everybody around the world wants to deal with. Because what's funny is a few times I've gone to Africa, all of the African drummers wanted to play African American rhythms. I'm trying to get what they got. They like, nah, bro, you got the juice. We want what you got.
Right.
And what you're saying about the griotic tradition. What there were things that you told me about, like with the spirituals and with how everything, how the three types of spirituals. You talked about the Jubilee song, the sorrow song, and the esoteric spiritual. And uh I'm hearing that coupled with what you just said about how the story is different, but the rhythm underneath is the same. And what I've realized is that that traditional African bell pattern,
Mm-hmm.
that that's the key, that's the glue that binds us all together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's whatever you put on top, like what you were saying. That's the rhythm that binds us. And then the
Yeah.
story, whatever you put on top, whether it's a sorrow song, a jubilee, an esoteric piece, that's what makes it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah, because it's always contextual. You know what I mean? In the context we're in, so that's the variation in terms of the story,
mm,
how it's delivered and told. But the rhythm, the aesthetic, the musical aesthetic,
mm,
the philosophy, the sacredness of it, the spirituality of it.
mm,
You know, the ultimately the pursuit of freedom and liberation
come on.
is is constant and
Yeah.
consistent. You know,
Yeah.
and that's found housed in the rhythm. All we had was the drum, stick the drum, but all we had was our memory. You know what I
That's
mean?
good. Yeah.
All we had was our memory, and that was strong enough. That's all we needed,
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately, and the drum is this whole circle, even your cymbals. It symbolizes and it connotates a lot of wholeness, but it turned out that the rhythm was housed in the hearts of the people, and the foot and the hand clap. What you thought you were taking away from me, you were actually we we did what we always do, and that's what I'm trying to do now and do what our ancestors did. We took what we had,
Yeah.
and like God said, what's in your hand? You know,
Come
we
on.
improvisation. We improved everything we touched.
Mm,
We improved it. We improved the rhythm, the variations from the rhythm. We took our hand clapping, and we took that stop time, the way we use time rhythm.
mm-hmm.
And so when we got the drums back, it's like, oh Lord, I mean, you
Yeah.
know, we understood how to work with any type of struggle, any type of blues aesthetic, any type of, we can deal with sorrow. We can deal with sorrow and joy in this being in the same space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what the whole blues thing is about.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we saw a little bit of light and got, and it's Congo Square, that's what Congo Square represents.
Mm-hmm.
When we were able to get to Congo Square, that was just a whole nother phase of our freedom movement. that's
Mm.
that definitely connected to our music. You can just kind of be oblivious to that, but it's just one and the same. It's like
Mhm.
that's what God gave us,
I
you know,
agree.
and that was a lot
I
more
agree.
than yeah.
Yeah, I agree that when you really look at like the way that like God manifests through humanity, like from a racial standpoint, the Afro-Asiatic peoples, man, he's given us a very unique and special understanding about rhythm. Um, and everybody wants to learn it. Um, I sent you a few questions. Uh, one of the questions I wanted to ask you on camera was concerning your own artistry and your own dealings with rhythm. What was the first rhythm you would say that you learned?
Well, the short answer is time rhythm. Stop time. I'm sorry. Stop time. You
Okay.
know, it's almost kind of birthed in the New Orleans tradition where,
Mm-hmm.
like it could be one bar phrase,
Mm-hmm.
and in the middle you have improvisation, or two bar phrases.
Mm.
You get it in ragtime music, that stop rhythm, pump, and you and you blow in between that pump. The rhythm is, can you count? Do you know where one is?
Ah.
The first rhythm I learned was one, one,
One. Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
one. Oh, off, one, one, and then
Yeah.
on and on. Three, 4 bar phrases, 5 bar phrases. We developed it, and then that whole big four, one,
Uh-huh.
4 1,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
4 1, and then
Okay.
that. You see, the work song. And
Mm.
so you got that 4 1, and then another way to answer your question, the first rhythm that I learned was it was improvisational. Because I was playing in the middle. I would take the stop time one, and then someone else would play. My dad perhaps would play his rhythm. And then it was my time to play the in uh between the beats.
Mm.
And then that whatever rhythm I played, it was improvisational. The thing that the idea was to have the vision, know where you start and where you're going to end,
Mm-hmm.
and all, and you totally free in between to make up whatever rhythm you like. And so that's the practice I got early on,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the practice that I've seen so many exhibits of students. I mean, Charnett, my younger brother, who I lost 2 years ago, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
he, we he was Exhibit A with that.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
it just so happened he played the bass, but he
Mm-hmm.
came from that same rhythmic conception. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't matter what instrument, because it's all a drum.
Yeah.
So that was really, and I had this thing I recall thinking back, blow man blow, blow man blow. So you had that and on the syncopation and the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really realizing that without some people have trouble with syncopation.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
it's on the beat, off the beat, some people really have difficulty with determining where the beat is in terms of the syncopation,
Mm-hmm.
the off beat, the two, and then if it's the 2 and 4, in opposed to the 1 and 3,
Right. Right.
and then further
Right.
the end of the beat. That of course I always tell a funny story about when go to Europe and play concerts, and you're clapping on 2 and 4, and all the Europeans are clapping on 1 and 3.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
They have trouble with that 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Uh,
you have to give them an example. You have to show them what 2, 3, and 4 is,
uh, yeah.
and they're clapping one and
Right.
three, and
Right. Right.
so and then we always laugh at that, at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's a workshop
Uh,
on learning to clap on 2 and 4. That's just natural church stuff.
yeah.
That's
Exactly.
tambourine music. I mean, so you go around the world and then you giving clinics on feeling 2 and 4, which in theory, I guess they call that the wheat beat. And by
Right. That's
you know, but it's interesting that in African American music, those are the strong beats.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree totally. It's a completely different worldview. It's a completely different philosophy, and because of that, when you bring whatever understanding you have to the music, that's whatever sound comes out. If you think that 2 and 4 is weak, then you're gonna treat it like it's weak, and and it's gonna sound weak. But if you think of it as strong, you're gonna treat it strong, and it's gonna sound strong. Um, Wow, that's heavy. So just to kind of recap, because you just gave a master class in like the fundamentals of improvisational rhythm. You said the first rhythm you learned was stop time, but that can also be synonymous with just learning one. And that makes sense because numerically speaking, you can't learn 2, 3, and 4 until you learn one first.
You got to know where
So you
one
learn,
is.
yeah. So you learn one with the stop time thing, and then the way you phrased it, it made me think of all of those lessons you would give in not only the history of jazz music, but I took the history of gospel music with you. I took the history of black music with you.
Mhm.
And in all of those classes, you always talked about call and response. So it sounds like that's what you were dealing with. Like your dad was training you in. Okay, this is the call. You wait till the call is finished. You respond, and then we're gonna flip the role. You're gonna call, and then I'm gonna respond. And being comfortable in those two areas. It sounds like you said that's how your dad started y'all out.
That's exactly right. That's where I come from.
Wow.
When you ask me what's the first, that's the first. And I'm forever dealing with that. I'm still exploring
Right.
that Be- because there's levels to
It,
it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it don't end. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because I had asked, I don't know if I asked Branford this, but I did an interview with this at this radio station in Atlanta, and they asked me what was the first sound I ever heard.
Mm.
They asked me that, and they didn't give me any preparation for that. It was cold,
Mm-hmm.
and so you asking me, but and then now you ask what is the first rhythm, but I addressed the first sound that I heard similar to what I just said about rhythm because I know if you ask me what's the first rhythm, the rhythms that I know it was improvisational.
Mm-hmm.
That was a part of the anatomy of one on both
Mm-hmm.
sides of one, and then extended out to 4 measure riffs. You get that a lot, and like I said, in a lot of ragtime music. You hear Louis Armstrong. I think that was his strength. You know what I mean? His
Uh-huh.
attack, his oneness, is right on it. So I said that. First, I said, well, in a practical way, the first sound I heard was drums and trumpet. My dad played drums and trumpet, and that
Mm.
was the first sound I heard. I said, but really, the first sound that I heard was uh, the birth of being born, the sound that happens in the process of birth. Because
Mm.
I must have heard a great sound during that time because what's evidence is the fact that I'm here.
Right.
So the first sound I heard, I can't describe it,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to have heard it because the process of being born, I'm
Right.
here.
Yeah.
So that's why I answered that question. Radio station.
Yeah, yeah.
I was, and he said, "What? I mean, you're saying that I didn't think you would go back to your actual birth
Mm-hmm.
in, on the day you were born. That's the first sound you heard. But I don't remember what that sound like
Mm-hmm.
as much as I don't remember the exact rhythm I played, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
I do know that it was improvisational.
Mm.
I guess
That's
God is
powerful.
a, with God, you know, God is a creative God that
Yeah.
somehow be able to creatively, you know, give us life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
good.
so, yeah, that's it's good to reflect on those things because it really identifies you and puts you in touch. It's all about that understanding your footprint and
Mm.
then walking. And sometimes you got to go back to, you get off track, you got to go back to discover, you know, where you came from in terms of your footprint to have further direction for the future.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah,
Well, so if we could keep going in the direction concerning your father, because I remember the day that you played me the record, what, live at the Golden Circle.
yeah. Uh,
I remember that day. It changed my life because it made everything you had been telling me about improvisation, about space, about the cymbal beat, about the tuning of the drums, about using the drums orchestrally.
yeah,
I heard it. I heard your pop doing it. I was like, "Yo,
yeah,
this is what he's been talking about."
yeah,
And I've gotten a chance to tell people everywhere I've gone, like in a musical context, that um, when it comes to being one of the architects and philosophers concerning like free jazz, like like your dad is genuine. He's truly one of the unsung heroes. Like, I mean, the history that you provided me, and then stuff I've just checked out. Like, he really helped Ornette like form a lot of his concept. And so if you could just share that, because that alone is something that people could study, and you know what I mean, and get a degree in, like
yeah.
just that way of even approaching the music.
You're right, and you're right. I mean, you know, to hear you say that, it just rings so true. How, first of all, my dad is very much an unsung hero,
Mm-hmm.
and all of his musical life, you know, Arnett has always been in it. But
Mm-hmm.
Arnett was always the really quiet one, and my dad would always analyze everything that was happening, and then tell Arnett what it was.
Oh wow.
Arnett never, Arnett never really could identify it.
Uh-huh.
And my dad was like, Arnett, this is freedom with discipline. Now he said, you know, so he came up with this concept of freedom with discipline. Arnett was on freedom, but Dad had a discipline part to it. Later in
Mm-hmm.
Arnett's career, he was talking about homologics.
Yes. Yes.
And if you ask Arnett, if you would ask Arnett something, he would explain it differently every time you ask him.
Okay.
I mean, he said that, he didn't mind. But the things I heard him say and heard my
Uh-huh.
dad say, first of all, things I heard Arnett say personally, one on
Mm-hmm.
one. I got firsthand information. I got firsthand information. And then my dad would always talk about their experiences and what they would talk about. And then Charnette later joined Arnett, what, 25 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Really?
my brother Charnette actually did more recording with Arnett than my dad.
Mm.
I mean, on his later records. And so Charnette would talk up to me about the rehearsals and the rehearsals and some of the things that Arnett would be saying in rehearsals. And Charnette
Okay.
was like, man, Charnette was like, well, Dad told us that, told me that when I was 5.
Come on. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. But that whole concept of freedom, the things that Arnett was doing, they had done that on my granddad's back porch with
Oh
my
wow.
dad and Arnett. They that used to practice on my granddaddy's porch in Fort Worth, Texas. And Arnett, really the band leader at the time was a guy named Prince Lachey.
Mm-hmm.
Arnett was never the band leader.
Mm.
It was my dad and Prince Lachey. Arnett was in their band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so the whole thing about playing the plastic saxophone and all that. But he had a concept of playing that was based totally on rhythm. I mean, it was totally the record that I was talking to you about live in Stockholm. On that record, he plays a great deal of trumpet and violin,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all rhythmic stuff that he
Mm-hmm.
was on violin and trumpet, all rhythm, playing the trumpet from the way the valves are made and just all rhythmic.
Mm-hmm.
So he had this way about rhythm. So he was talking about this harmonic. So Dad said, listen, what you're talking about, Arnett, is not playing in any keys and always be in a constant state of modulation.
Yo, so hold up. Your dad was the one that coined that phrase, constant state of modulation.
Yeah. Arnett coined the phrase homologics.
Yeah.
But my dad said, what you do, Arnett, is you always modulating. Like
Wow.
your note, when you play a note, it's just 12 notes of music. When
Uh-huh.
you play a note, it's not in any ever one key. It's in all 12 keys at the same time. It's homologics. That's how that really came about. And so I'm just not. I've never made the phrase. I've never made the statement. I always said my dad was a 1960s pioneer in the free jazz movement alongside Arnett. But I
Right.
never really made the phrase that he's an unsung hero in that, an unsung, until now, until you have said it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, Q, you're right. He's really unsung uh, because he changed music. He changed music. After that, nothing was ever the same.
Yeah.
John Coltrane wasn't even the
Hey,
same.
come on.
You know, listen to this. John Coltrane, before he died, he said he wanted Arnett and Charles Moffett to play at his memorial service. And
Wow.
yeah, my dad did Arnett's, and Arnett, they played at John Coltrane's service. John Coltrane had been coming to their rehearsals, trying to figure out what Arnett's doing,
Mm. Yeah.
and they develop a relationship. And then Train started going out and started really uh, coming to where he actually with the record with Elvin and Just Train and of course he recorded that thing with Don
Mm-hmm.
Cherry, but Arnett and my dad
Mm-hmm.
influenced had a great impact and influence on John Coltrane,
Dang.
and that whole free movement,
Yeah.
whatever music that came about after that,
Yeah.
it was because of the free jazz movement. Some people call it loft jazz, but it
Lockjaw.
was only few people that was out front with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Only a few. Of course,
Dang.
Arnett, my dad, Cecil Taylor and the rest of them that
Mm-hmm.
was catching on to that, and I, my whole, I really love what they were doing and how organic and that whole improvisational
Mm-hmm.
approach, and just the bandstand is new every time you approach it, and just they were very courageous. Of course,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Arnett got beat up a lot. My dad is
Yeah,
not
that's
one to
wild.
get beat up, yeah, but he got beat up and saxophone broken, and you can't play like this, and a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
happened to Arnett on his journey.
Mm.
But he's a man that never played anybody else's music. I think he did one recording. He did a so-called recording of a unique recording of "Embraceable You,"
Mm-hmm.
but everything Arnett recorded was all original. We were in Fort Worth, Texas, in the hometown. They were giving Arnett the key to the city, and I went down with my dad because my dad was a part of the ceremony, and we were playing at the Caravan of Dreams, a beautiful club in Fort Worth. Arnett came and sat in,
Hmm.
and Arnett said, "Oh," he said, "What you want to play, Arnett?" I said, "Well, I'm home now." He called "The Song Is You," this bebop tune, "The Song Is You,"
Hmm.
and Arnett got on stage, and he was like sounding. You close your eyes, you might thought you were listening to Charlie Parker.
Wow.
And I said, "I didn't know Arnett played like that." And my dad said, "Oh yeah, when we were kids, that's all we did. We played bebop, played all the Charlie Parker." And he already been through that. And I just never knew that Arnett could play
Yeah.
bebop in the way he did.
Wow.
But I should have known. I mean,
Uh-huh.
because it's blues, so much blues in his horn, you
Right.
know.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that I still learn a lot from that whole relationship and experience, and just being a fly on the wall, listening
Hmm.
to these musicians and the way they talk about how they approach music.
Mm.
You know.
I'm sorry. I'm just taking that in. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
That's that's huge.
Yeah. OC. It's my daddy called
Yeah.
him Arnett. OC.
Uh-huh.
OC. OC.
Yeah.
You know. Tell my son something. My dad was big on that.
Uh-huh.
Show my son something.
Okay.
Tell him something. you know, Max, let my son play with you. I
Yeah.
said, no, Dad, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. No, man, that McCoy, let my son sit in. He's here. He got his horn. I
Yeah.
left it in the car, Dad. My horn's in the car. Go
Uh,
get it. Go get it. And
yeah.
I go up, I climb up on the stage, and I don't really have, I don't know what I'm gonna play because I'm not playing first solo.
Hmm.
Azar Lawrence was in the band at the time, and the music was way up here,
Hmm.
way up. I think McCoy had played
Uh,
because Azar had played on the soprano, and he was John Coltrane, scholar.
hmm. Yeah.
Azar,
Yeah.
he's the first saxophone player. He's still around, still in L.A. He
Mm.
was the first saxophone player after John died. Then it was McCoy, and I forget. Uh, Junie Boot on bass and all of it was a great. He had a great quartet, and I think I got up. I didn't know. I played one note, and McCoy, that whole call and stop time, call and response rhythm,
Mm.
saved my life.
Mm.
Cause McCoy, boop, and McCoy, and then I played, and McCoy. I said, these dudes listening to me.
Uh,
so next thing I knew, man, I was spitting and probably played the best solo of my whole life still as of today
wow.
with McCoy
Wow.
Tyner, and I was 21 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
And I realized then the difference that it make when you're making music. Sometimes it's not an age thing. It's not a it's a hard thing, and McCoy told me, yeah, it's gonna be all right. That was his comment. It's gonna be all right.
Wow.
It-
That's encouraging.
I don't know. Maybe I kind of wanted. Man, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have been good to say, you sound good. That's the thing that cats always say, you sound good, right? He
Yeah.
said, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. But
Yeah.
that was to say, I mean, that was real.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that
Yeah.
was real. And that gave me the encouragement that
Yeah.
whatever I was doing, just keep
Hmm.
doing it. Keep
Hmm.
working at it,
It's gonna be all right.
It's
Wow.
gonna be all right. So I took it from there. But from there, sitting at the footsteps of Woody Shaw and Freddie Hubbard and Eddie Henderson, Dr. Eddie Henderson, who's still playing great these days.
Mm.
Dr. Eddie Henderson, he's in New York. He's doing some great things. You know, I think Eddie is 85 or something.
Wow.
Man, he's playing. He's busy. You know, he's taking up on that Art Blakey legacy band and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
I was I was privileged enough because of my dad to go downstairs in everybody's dressing room, see them warm up, see the process, and then as they go up the stairs to the bandstand, I follow them upstairs and I take a front row seat.
Mm.
And as soon as that sets over, they head out the dressing room downstairs. I follow them downstairs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't want to. I'm not asking any questions. I'm just ears open, listening. You know. And then they go back up, and that was like 6, 7 nights a week. The place was 7 nights a week,
Mhm.
and that's what I would do, and I would get some really great knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, I get every my best experience was hanging out with Woody Shaw and Freddie Hubbard.
Uh-huh.
And Woody Shaw was very humble when he was around Freddie. And Freddie was really cocky. Like, yeah, Fred, Woody, go. Why don't you go upstairs and play some of my licks? Woody
Yeah.
said, yeah. Woody said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Woody goes up with his band,
Uh-huh.
and Freddie all of a sudden go into a prayer mode. That that all that talking and stuff is just totally quiet, and he's listening intently to Woody.
Hmm.
I didn't even go up and follow Freddie up. I mean Woody up. I stayed downstairs with Freddie, and
Okay.
you can hear the band anyway.
Uh-huh.
So I'm standing there with Freddie, and Freddie, he's just shaking his head. Boy, sugar, please. That's all he was doing. Now it's Freddie's time to go up,
Uh,
and Freddie goes up, and Woody comes down, almost very, very apologetic.
wow.
He plays,
Out of humility.
and then I sit down there and Woody can't be still. He's dancing to Freddie and everything like that. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, this is amazing.
Hmm.
And I said, I said, listen, I said, what? They were so comfortable with walking on the bandstand anywhere, in the world or whatever, and be the deal. And I said to myself then, I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to walk on anybody's bandstand and you know make my case, negotiate, communicate,
Mm.
uh, and not and be relaxed about it.
Hmm.
Listen, because they would be just Woody was especially Woody. George Benson came in. George Benson was playing one night, and Benson and Woody came in, and George Benson said, "Woody, come on up." Oh,
Hmm.
okay. And he went up there, and I'm like, "Don't you want to know what he's gonna what they're playing?" I'm
Yeah.
saying to myself,
Uh-huh.
"Don't you want to know what they? I mean, how are you just gonna just walk up not knowing anything?"
Yeah.
What is like? Okay, he grabbed his axe, climbed up on the bandstand. Yeah, man. And they still ain't talked about what they playing.
Yeah.
The next thing they stumped it off, and Woody just and then he came off the bandstand, and he went down and he came off and George was talking. He said, "Yeah, I know that tune. I know that music.
Yeah.
This is Woody Shaw. I know that music.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Appreciate the offer."
Wow.
And so that I said that is what I have to work to be able to do.
Mm.
So these guys set a very high standard, a standard. I used to say this to A&T all the time. A standard of excellence is what we're trying
Mm.
to achieve. Certain standard of excellence, and they just had it. Those are the footsteps we walk in. Joe Henderson. I said, Joe, on Mode to Joe, you know, you went to this flat 13, this sharp 9 flat 13 chord, and you played this note. And Joe said, did I do that? I said, yes. I tried to figure out, I want to ask you, what was the chord that came after that?
Uh-huh.
And Joe Henderson told me, said, Look, like young Moffett, I never really heard the record. Never really heard the
Wow.
record. I said, you haven't listened to your own record?
Wow.
That great record you made with Mo to Joe, with Lee and Bobby and all. He said, I heard it when I did it.
Wow. So he's just on to the next thing. I heard it
On
when
to
I
the next
did it,
thing.
and then I'm just on to the next thing.
So I said, yeah, that's what I need to be able to do.
Mm,
See, everything they would tell me, I knew what I need to work toward.
mm,
I need to work toward that type of mastery to where I'm just that comfortable. Now, of course, Art Blakey said, we're going to do this one time.
uh,
And if you make a mistake, your grandchildren will hear it. That
That's a
was
lot
his
of
thing.
pressure.
Yeah, yeah. He said, everybody knew it was at stake,
Hmm.
say, because truthfully, he knew that it's going to go downhill from there.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
lot of people,
Hmm.
let's do another take, just in case, just go and do another take.
Hmm.
But those, this is this is one take. You some kind of master of a musician or
Hmm.
understand the concept of what music is about. That uh, the idea of something you asked me. You asked me something. You asked me, what is it that you're trying to achieve, or
Yes.
something in
Yes.
a solo. And I was reflected upon Art and those cats, guys I grew up, guys that I not grew up with, but guys, yeah, I guess so. The guys I grew up with and underneath. And I kind of answered this way, but this is how they would answer this. They would say, uh, the realization of knowing that I've already achieved my goal in improvisation before I play the first note. Like, what are you trying to achieve when you improvise?
Hmm.
Uh, what is it? I'm paraphrasing the question. I have to look back at it, but it's already knowing that you have already achieved it by
Wow.
the mere fact that you are participating in the music in the first place. You're already there. You already have achieved all that you need, intend to achieve. Now,
Mm.
when you break that down, there are other things that you would like to do, that you have to prepare for in terms of expression, freedom of expression, and to be totally free to play what you hear and play what you feel. You got to be ready for battles.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
have to work on all your stuff so that if you hear something, you can play it
Right.
because you prepared.
Right. Right. Right.
Preparation,
Hmm.
you know. But on the other hand, in terms of producing music, real music, authentic music, and what music does, music that comes from the creator through you,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, you already you already well enough. I mean, you already enough.
Wow.
I'm trying to put it. I don't know how other way to put it, but you already enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to be somebody or be more than what you are.
Yeah.
You're already what you are.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
already a child of God. You've
All right.
already achieved it.
Yeah.
So if anything, you should try not to get in the way. But
That.
of course, technically you got things that you want to do technically, but that goes back to that, you know, the technical things, the theory of it. Theory is called theory for a reason. It's just a theory. It's
Come
not
on.
really. It's not really some music. It's a theory.
Theory about it. That's good.
Yeah. Oh
I
my goodness.
I told the people before we filmed today. I shot just like a little commercial yesterday, and I was telling people I was like, you need to make sure that whenever you're digging on this, like you got a pen and pad so that you can write things down because stuff like that. One of the things I was thinking about while you were talking was, okay, you go to these different jazz programs. One of the biggest problems we have in jazz pedagogy is we got a lot of people teaching jazz that aren't authentic jazz musicians in that they've lived the experience. Like, I was so blessed to study with you because you're you aren't my dad says it's not brag, it's just fact. You're literally talking about facts. You're like, hey, I sat with Freddie Hubbard in his dressing room. I sat with Woody Shaw. I sat under Joe Henderson. I sat with, you know what I'm saying, with I
Yeah.
played with McCoy time. Like, you knew all of these people. You've been around them, and so as a result, you have a way of communicating how to improvise and how to deal with this music that somebody who just, got a degree from somewhere and, like you said, just learned a bunch of theory, they can't communicate it, and
Yeah.
you that that thing that you just said about, you just got to understand at the end of the day, it's about who you be. You just gotta be yourself. Don't lie. Don't try to be somebody you not, because that's gonna come through the music. Just be yourself. And the fact that you were even afforded the opportunity is proof that you already qualified to do what you're trying to do. So at that point, just do it. Like, just do it. Just be honest. That's incredible. I really feel like that is something that needs to be stressed in every 1 o'clock lab band, every form and analysis class, every um, combo rehearsal, like like that. Just the simplicity of, hey man, just be yourself. Like, just be yourself. Um, and to that point, one of the things that I really enjoyed studying with you, sir, was that you completely validated all of my previous musical experiences as a young African American. You didn't invalidate my experiences. That was one of the conundrums I was dealing with studying classical music at A&T. And I don't think that the professors or the curriculum was necessarily designed to do that. But what was the reason why I was able to the reason why I gravitated to what you were saying so much was because the very thing you just said, you helped me understand that the music I had experienced before was was cumulative, and that it was designed to inform my present ability to improvise. And you were like, man, don't do away with it. This is just what you need to tweak in order to sound authentic in this particular context. And then in this context, you need to do this and you need to do this. And wow, man,
Yeah.
that thing about being, I'm sorry, man, you
Yeah.
got my brain going about just being.
Yeah. See, and that whole conception of just being is what allow you to play with with one of your elementary school students. You know, if they're in that same space, you can make music with them.
That's it.
You know, and that's the thing that my dad had. I remember Sonny Rollins was like that as well. Sonny Rollins would love to play with young people, and he was like, he's trying to get some ideas, because
Yeah.
remember, it's all about the idea. And
Yeah.
who's better fit to give you ideas
Hmm.
than innocent, young, inspiring, have a good time playing music students or kids,
Hmm.
middle school, you know, primary school on those levels, you get some ideas that is really right in the pocket in terms of where you want to be and and the music you want to communicate to the world,
Mm.
the humanity of it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So first we have to acknowledge that
Hmm.
we have to approach it from that point of view. Then you take down all the barriers, all
Hmm.
the walls come tumbling down,
Yeah.
and you're going to get to some music. because that's the only thing keep you from music.
Yeah.
You're gonna get to some music. You're gonna get to some that moment that we're talking about, that 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
man, we did it tonight. Man, that moment,
Yeah.
because that moment is eternal. It's like that moment.
Hmm.
I would build, symphonies off of those moments
Come on.
because it's real. It's creative. It came out of creativity.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what our ancestors took a little bit of material and they created the spirituals. They took a little bit of what they had and improved it. Improvisation.
Hmm.
The word improve is in that. They just
Yeah. Yeah.
improved it. You want to take what's there and improve it. You want to, the goal is progress. That whole improvisation, progress.
Mm.
You want to. That's the standard of excellence, progress. And so the thing I love about jazz, and like I said, I got this curriculum I'm excited about here, but it's really about improvisation. That's what I want. That's what I want students to experience.
Hmm.
Is the sacred, is the spirituality. It's a certain spirit, God given spirit. I want the students to feel what I felt
Hmm.
when I
Hmm.
improvise. That experience, and it is absent from our educational systems. It's
I
absent.
concur.
Yeah, really is.
Wow. Well, I'm telling you, the students are definitely blessed. Like, if any of the students are watching this, or you will watch this in the future, I'm telling y'all are blessed to have Dr. Moffett, because like, he's the real deal. Everything he's telling you is coming from a lived experience, and then he's super educated, super articulate. He's thought about what he's doing, and so he's able to articulate it in words. Like, I'm still over here bugged out about that thing about just being, like, just the sun. Like, that's why I'm just over here. I'm just like, that's it. That's about to be
but
the move.
but
Be.
who can hear, let them hear. Who can hear, let them hear.
Oh yeah.
And you can hear.
I did.
See, you hear it. See what I'm saying? You hear it. So it's a challenge trying to communicate it where others will hear. Sometimes, but when it's authentic, they'll feel it.
Yeah.
They don't hear it, they certainly will feel it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm just so always so glad to talk with you because you just always remind me of the work that I'm doing and that it's not in vain and to keep doing it. But like I said, the whole experience at A&T with all the struggles,
Yeah.
with all the blues,
Yeah. Yeah.
administratively mostly, administratively, you
That's
know what
right.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we struggle with that in HBCUs,
Right.
and they have their own the PWIs.
Hmm.
They have I think North Texas State and one of those schools had a jazz program in the 50s.
Right. Right.
Well, we just had dance bands.
Right. Yeah.
You couldn't get an agree. The whole thing with, and I'm on the front line about this whole thing about European music is legit and African American music is illegit. That's what it
Yeah.
implies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And evidence of it is that, there's school music, and that's legit, that's Western European music, and then there is everything else that's communal.
Hmm.
There's a separation between what's played in the schools and what's played in the community. There's a disconnect, and it really shouldn't be a disconnect.
No, because it's all the same thing. Um, to your point, I'm seeing that, like, at the elementary school level, and the terminology that I guess applies is unfortunately, because of racism, the classical music is taught with implicit bias, and it's taught through the lens of racial superiority, and it's taught through the lens of scientific racism. It's like, that scientific racism thing is deep, because there was one point where uh, the enemy had white people, so they had them so bound that they literally were just making up false scientific theories to try to say that we were anatomically inferior, that like God had designed us from a physiological standpoint. There's a branch of false science they used to call craniology, where they would study the shape of skulls, and they were trying to say that there was something wrong with our brains, and we're still dealing with the remnants of that. And like you said, you're on the front line, because the thing that I love about you, Dr. Moffett, is that your intellect cannot be questioned. Not only can you pull out your axe and can you just play it, but it's like, well, no, if you want to go tit for tat with these books, if you want to come on, Jack, he got it right there.
I
Yeah,
just want you to know it's always
yeah,
with me.
yeah. I already know what time it is.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
but the thing that I learned from you, you talked about the standard of excellence, was that not only could you articulate yourself on the instrument, but then you could turn around and you could live in that academic space of literature, and being able to dissect and elucidate and extrapolate and make a point. And that's very important, because you're completely right. There's an intentional effort to try to make Charlie Parker, as brilliant as he is, just just a druggie who just happened to play something brilliant. And it's like, no, clearly he knew something you don't know, because your music don't sound like that. Why is it? How are these people dumb? How are these people not intelligent whenever we have all of this record of the music that y'all created, that is brilliant, by the way? I ain't about to act like European classical music isn't brilliant, but to act like that's the only high art on earth is insane. Like
Yeah.
that's idiotic, because we got proof. I was telling the classical musician the other day, I ain't gonna front Moffat. I still ain't stopped fighting either. I was telling the cat the other day, yeah, I ain't going front. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of your students, so you know what I mean. I'm cut from the same cloth. I was telling the cat, I was like, well, bro, if what you're doing is so definitely superior, why is it that you can only do what you do in your space? Why can't you come to the session and cut people? Why is it that I'm in your space and I'm doing what you did? This is a hobby for me. I come over here to just tighten up my reading. You know what I'm saying? And that, don't get it twisted. I'm over here to learn and to become better. But why is it I can go in and out of your space at your level and better, to be honest, but you can't come and touch anything that we're doing? It ain't because you're so much superior. What it is that you're very limited. You can only do this one thing, and you're trying to play this Jedi mind trick and trying to make me feel like I'm inferior. It's actually the other way around. Like, you need to deal with some music, man. And I'll say this just very quickly, not trying to overtalk you. Um, I never thought about this, but Doc, you not only your generation, like, see, you along there with Winton and them. And I was talking to my kids about Winton. Well, I was talking to one of my students about Winton Marsalis, and I was trying to explain to him that that's literally, like, we should be celebrating Winton Marsalis during Black History Month, because he literally he conquered the whole mountain of Western art music single-handedly. And then turned around and realized that, wait a second, I was able to do that. That was light work. But now I got to go deal with now I got to go climb the mountain of my own music. And obviously, he's Winton. But we don't celebrate that achievement and that overcoming of scientific racism that Winton Marsalis achieved. It's like that the people that want to be racist, they can be as racist as they want to, but they can't ever act like Winton ain't that dude. Winton went right in there and showed them, nah, homie, I can play all of this. I can play all this hiding. I can do all of that and more.
And when they were going to try to, then uh, uh, Andre Maurice, he was
Oh,
the cat,
wow. Uh-huh.
said, wait a minute, Whitney is that dude. So he basically,
Wow.
he let them
So
all
he had the
know. And
endorsement.
they couldn't say
Wow.
nothing back then because Andre Maurice was the dude. And they said,
Mm.
no, Whitney, he's the that dude. and the greatest of the last 50 years or whatever the time period was.
Yes, sir.
And so that set everybody up
Because
when he got
the
that
Andre
validation.
Maurice endorsement.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I was
I mean,
saying the
Maurice Andre.
Maurice Andre. I got you.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I was mentioning Winton is because see, that's your generation. Like that's y'all are all along there together, and I see you doing the same thing in your own lane. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like still being on the front lines, confronting scientific racism. Like
Yeah.
you're proving that there is no intellectual deficiencies in what you're doing. It's like how could it be whenever what you're doing, what your output is greatness. It's like you think I made something great by accident. Like
Yeah.
you ain't think I meant for this to be great. Like and I just want to as a 38-year-old young man, I just want to salute you. I want to salute your generation. I know y'all are
Yeah.
young men in y'all's own right, but I just want to salute y'all because uh we wouldn't be able to do what little bit we doing had y'all not did the huge things that y'all have done.
Yeah. And the generation before me is they where I got the encouragement from. One of the things that why I really wanted to be a musician is when I saw my dad and Elvin and my dad and Art Blakey when they saw one another, the type of love they had between each other.
Mm, mm,
It was more than the music. It
mm-hmm.
was like Moffett. They were like embracing and just so affirming.
Wow.
Man, it's good to see you. It was a big hug, bear hug sometimes, like all this, you know what
Wow.
I mean? And
Wow.
I was like, wow, I really was attracted to that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then the music, and I realized that's why the music was so great as well. They had that ingredient because they were looking for something in their music. Uh, they were expressing the beauty. They were finding beauty in their music.
Hmm.
They were playing and unearthing the beauty and love, and that's what they were passing on, and putting out there.
Mm,
That's what it all came down to. It all
hmm. Hmm.
transcended to love, family, community, and they took something, you know, that Dr. King said, uh, something, the sweet sounds of sorrow, and made beauty out of it. That was the beautiful thing, the sweet sounds of sorrow. King said that in one of the presentations he made at a jazz festival they had him speak. He said, God has endowed upon humanity many things, but he is endowed upon the African American um, the ability to create and take the sweet sounds of sorrow and create something. He said, take the most difficult, hard things in life and take it and create something beautiful out of it.
Wow.
And he called the sweet sounds of sorrow. I said,
So,
man, King was a bad dude, man. King
yeah.
understood the music as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's why he had Mahalia Jackson open up for him every time he got ready to speak.
Come on.
Got ready to give that "I Have a Dream" speech. He was doing some other speech, I understand. But Mahalia said, "No, King, tell him about the dream."
Wow.
You know that
No,
story
no,
where
no. Please do.
the the March on Washington and his great thing that they always talk about, the "I Have a Dream" speech. Well, he had been saying that speech. He said that speech, before,
Hmm.
and Mahalia was a part of his show, so to speak. She would open up his ministry. She would
Hmm.
always. He didn't want to speak before she sang because that would give him what he
That
needed.
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, all that he needed, the courage, everything he needed, she reinforced. So Mahalia Jackson knew that that was a powerful. The dream was powerful, and he had penned and wrote another speech for that occasion.
Hmm.
And he was going down that line, and she saw that that's not the word that he should be delivering because he kind of felt like the speech was going flat.
Uh
And
huh.
she shouted up, King, tell them about the dream. And
Mm.
he switched gears, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's
But that
awesome.
speaks to who he was too, in terms of his ability to be
Uh,
in the moment.
right.
He was in the
Right.
moment,
Yeah,
and he
improvise. Yeah.
heard what she said and improvised and switched gears.
Mm.
He just stayed, that means that he was really in the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that was a powerful thing. When I heard that, I said, "What?" But Mahalia Jackson,
Yeah.
that musical giant, she said, "Tell them about the dream."
Tell them about the drill.
He went to it, and then he did what Branch was talking about, the sound, the sound. I have a dream. He just said, "I have a
Mm.
dream," but the sound of his voice.
Right.
He had a voice.
I agree.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Well, well, I wanted to I wanted to get ready to wrap up. I wanted to ask you this in closing because this particular thing you said to me years ago made me rethink, and it made me rethink everything you had taught me, but it also opened up. It was almost like the thing I needed to push to the next level, right? You said to me, you said as improvisers, we are spontaneous composers. Would you share a little bit with the people about spontaneous composition?
well, yeah. Spontaneous composition is dealing, well, again, being in the moment and taking an idea. And back to that idea, you need an idea, and if you can think rhythmic, you need to come up with an idea that converts into a theme.
Mm,
And once you have a theme, you then have to articulate the theme and simultaneously participate in your own music. See, you got to participate in your own music and be aware of everything around you.
yeah.
I mean, like I can hear somebody playing, I can hear somebody playing, and it sounds like they're not even participating in their own music. I
Right.
feel sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then allow creativity to flow, allow the music to take you where it wants to go without you being
Mm,
without you being obstructive. Let it take you, and the construct of it unfolds as it goes along, and that's the whole thing. And that's what we do when we improvise.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We compose the music as we go. And it's affected by what's going around. It's affected by you. You want to hope that you are having an impact on the listener, which includes not only the musicians that are around you, but also the audience. So you got those listeners, and then you are again open. You got call and response. You building. Not only you hearing the line, but you hearing the counter line that goes with it.
mm-hmm,
And you're working with time. So that is a beautiful thing when you come with just bits and pieces that you develop with theme, with an idea, and then you develop that idea and take it as far as you can take it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You know. Uh, Now, the more education I got, uh, uh, I have to make sure that I don't allow my education sometimes to override just a creative idea.
mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know. But I'm able to construct that a little bit, modal counterpoint, that type of thing. I know, is it sometimes your creativity could be a point where you said, okay, so go ahead and write this. We want you to do a film score, and then you know you might feel like, okay, but let me get in my creative bag to come up with this film score. But they
mm-hmm.
said, no, we need you to write this film score. We need to score on Friday or whatever. We
Mm-hmm.
need the theme right away. So now it's that kind of business. And so I know how to do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I'm trying to integrate that with making sure that I'm constantly in the moment and making sure that my creativity is there. I
Mm-hmm.
used to, and I know many musicians would record their improvisation and then let their creative improvisation serve as their main themes and construct their compositions from their improvisation.
Mm. That's brilliant.
And so I kind of started from there as well. But now I can go both ways. I'm teaching composition. I mean, I think I teach all the theory here basically here at Simmons College. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really theoretically a compositional thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you from both perspectives, from even the whole secondary dominance and all of that. The thing about notes now, my dad was big on it's just 12 notes of music. It's 12 notes of music. But there, rhythm is infinite. You so many rhythms. But I'm realizing that those 12 notes, depending on what the purpose of those 12 notes, like you take a note C you got a C in your key of C, C is tonic. But if you move C in that environment, if it's a C chord, if you move to the four, the F chord, then the C becomes the fifth. Man, in the tonic position, C is very, very vital.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in the fourth position, now C is not really that important in terms, it's the least important note. The
Right.
fifth, it doesn't determine any sonority, it doesn't determine if the chord is major or minor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have the fifth in the
Yeah.
chord.
Yeah.
The same C. So the same one note in different contexts has totally different functions, which add to the whole 12 note mythology. C by itself could be 12 notes. you, you left the set on that one. I knew that was going to get
Yeah.
you. You said, so I
Yeah.
stopped preaching that it's just 12 notes of music. I stopped preaching that one.
Yeah.
Even
That's
acknowledging that is, first of all, octaves, and those are different notes. Even though, see, those are different pitches,
uh
they share the same name.
right. Right.
So I'm going further than that. I'm just talking about the many different functions of that pitch.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I hear you, man.
yeah,
Damn. You said 12. You said C could be 12. Because I get it. It's 12 different contexts.
yeah.
That's crazy.
At
All
least.
right. At
So
least, yeah.
you got me on that when you just asked me about composition. I
Yeah.
guess that's where I went with that. Till you said, tell me about composition, improvisation, composition. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is a part of my whole brain trust as it relates to composition. Being that,
Jeez.
because we all in pursuit of freedom. So it's all about freedom. It's
Mm-hmm.
all
Yeah.
about freedom,
That
liberation.
right. Jeez.
Set the captives free. Yeah, yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have heard it. Y'all done heard it from the maestro himself. Not only
Listen,
did
before you
yes,
go there, I see
yes, sir.
a childhood friend of mine. So I just want to acknowledge him.
Yes,
His
please.
name is Johnny Mays. He was my very first friend I've ever had in my life.
Mm.
We lived beside one another growing up. His dad and my dad were taught school together. His mom and my mom. I mean, really family, Johnny Mays. And he
Wow.
wrote a note here, hey man, love you. He said that, remember the garage band? The first rehearsal band I had was in his garage. So
What?
what's up, Johnny, man? I love you. We had a garage band. And in fact, he had a garage. We didn't have a garage, so
Uh,
we had to rehearse in his garage.
uh,
and we had it was kind of a blues band, hip hugger blues band, because we had
Uh-huh.
a singer who could sing the blues,
Mm.
and the instrumentation was strange. Okay,
Okay.
I think we had guitar. We may have had a bass. I think that Johnny may have been playing baritone horn or something. It was
Word.
like anyway. My first, and we that was some of my first gigs as well. But out of that context, I was a person that played in the rural parts of Texas, played herbal blues in the rural parts of Texas, which is, I'm looking, that's quite a dichotomy. Like I'm playing, I should be playing country blues in a sense because I'm in a rural part of Texas, but we're
Mhm.
playing urban blues. And I
Wow.
was doing gigs with some of my dad's students.
Hmm.
I mean, my first gig, besides playing in this garage band, because we would rent halls and charge $4 to get in and play at the Frosted Freezes and places like that. But my first gigs were playing with blues music for dances, things like that, and where I would be featured playing work songs and those type blues songs as well. And so
Wow.
anyway, that was a part of my early training. It's like the chitlin circuit.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But the part of the foundation of that was with my friend Johnny Mays. He's on, and he just wrote, "That's right, that's right."
Come on.
So
Come
what's up,
on.
Johnny? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm going back to before grade school.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So it's good to see him on.
Yeah. So salute to you, Mr. Mays. This is this is incredible because it's so much history that you're sharing and that you have shared. And the thing that I appreciated about this conversation the most was that you started with your theme, right? You're talking about freedom. You brought us back to freedom, but all in between, for those who were paying attention, you were giving us specific things that we can do in order to experience freedom in music. Like over the course of this conversation, I can't tell you how much, sir. Like like I genuinely appreciate this. I appreciate your mentorship. I appreciate um, everything that you've done to help me. Um, and I mean, even coming on here, because there are going to be thousands of people that are going to see this over I mean, really millions when you stop and you think about it, because when it's up on the internet, it's up there forever.
Yeah,
And so they'll be able to have the opportunity to sit and hit pause after you say that you could think about C 12 different ways. They can hit pause, write that down, and then go deal with that. You know what I'm
and go
saying?
deal with that. Yes.
Like that's like
Yeah,
so thank you so much,
yeah.
and thank you everybody for tuning in. Shout out to everybody that's gonna see this video. Uh this has been another conversation in rhythm
Mm.
today with Mr. Mondre Moffett. I salute you, sir.
Yeah,
And
same here, brother.
awesome.
You as
Well,
well.
yes, sir.
Look
Well,
forward to
we definitely
next time. Look, and I hope to see you at some point on the bandstand.
likewise.
You've been trying to get
All right.
me back to Greensboro for that, and
Oh, yeah.
it's going to happen at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like what you said earlier about just being patient.
yeah,
I'm excited because the whole reason I even want to deal with Woody Shaw's music is because of you. You know
that's
what I'm
right.
saying? So
That's right.
it's
That's right.
definitely gonna happen. And
Yeah. And love to the family, to pops and everything. And
yes, sir.
so it's good to know that he's there. He was listening on.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate you, sir.
Okay. Until we meet again, sir.
All
Much
right, man.
love.
Likewise. Bye bye.